So until last video, we created the implementation of our ExecuteAutomation web service, and we also saw how to make use of our existing code available in our ExecuteAutomation reporting systems UI. So in this video, what we're going to do is we are going to write a small test project, or otherwise called as the client project, to consume this particular web service and see if we could insert some of the result into the database. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make use of our console application this time. So I'm going to choose the console application project, and let's give a name here, maybe errors service test, and I'm going to hit OK. So this is going to create a project for me like errors underscore service underscore test project, right? And here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add some of the code to consume the web service, at the same time to insert a result into the web service. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to consume the web service, right? So for that, just right click the references, and there is something called as add service reference. So let's select that, and here there is a button called discover. If you have already worked with the web services, you will understand that if you pass the web service URL, which is coming from the HTTP, and if you hit go, it will automatically discover the operation contracts from that particular service and display all the methods available in that service. But since our web service is available right now into our project itself, you can click this discover button, and you can see that our service1.svc will be automatically displayed. And if you expand this, you can see that it will display the methods available within the service1.svc. It should have displayed that by now, but it is not displaying. So let's quickly see what is the problem. So let's go to the service and let's try to build this particular project and see what's really going wrong. It seems like we have missed some code here. Oh, okay. We have not even compiled the project, and that's the reason. It is too much of self-confidence, I believe. So let's remove the unnecessary braces there. I'm going to save it, and now let's try to build this particular service and see how it works. Cool. So it is working fine. And the part of the problem with the web service is because you cannot actually test the working unless until you consume the particular web service in any of the client. It's more like the class library project. So you have to ensure that the project at least compiles without any problem. And right now it is okay. Let's try to add the service reference, and let's hit discover, and here let's click this. There we go. We can see the service one this time, and there is our service1.svc. So I'm just going to select that service1 services.svc, and let's give a good name for this particular service reference. I'm just going to give this as a service, and I'm going to hit OK. There we go. So the service reference is being added, and now if I go to my program.cs, all I have to do is just call the service client. So I can do something like this, service client, and hit control dot. Oops. Let's try to call the service here using a service test dot services. There you go. So we have a service client is equal to new service client. So this is the very easiest way that you can call your client, or otherwise called as the web service client, into your project. And now all you have to do is write a method to create the test cycle. Can you see if I just hit dot here, it automatically brings a lot of methods along with our create test cycle method and our write test result method. And you can see there is something called write test result async and create test cycle async. Please don't use this method because the asynchronous functionality is currently kind of not working well. So I guess you can just make use of the create test cycle. And there is a kind of typo in the code. Let me quickly flip there and change that, and I will show you how the update service reference will reflect the code change. We can see currently the create test cycle has no C in the cycle. It's like CYLE. So bad. So let me hop to the interface. Let's save this, and we'll be getting an error in the service one dot. Here you can see it says the method is not implemented. Let me quickly do that. And let's try to build the project. And let's come here. You can see that this time also, if I just do a dot, you will see the spelling is not changed yet because you need to update the reference. So let's right click, and there is something called update service reference. So if you run this, it will automatically generate the XML, update the service reference, and now you can see that the spelling has been changed, right? Super cool. And then here we need to pass the application under test, executed by, requested by, build number, app version, and machine name. Again, the machine name will be automatically taken by your parameter that you have passed, because as you can see, we have passed the machine name from the inbuilt C# code, so you don't really have to even give the machine name if you want. But I have just given for the sake of the extensibility. If you still have to make use of the machine name, you can still use it, or you can change it right here. Anything is fine. I'm just leaving it for now as an open ground. You can always change it anything you want. The reason why I'm passing this as a parameter as well is because if your web service is hosted in a server, then it will take the server name as a machine name always. If you think that you want to show your machine name, the Windows 10 machine if you're running, it won't, because where the web service is hosted, that's the machine name it will take as an environment.machine name. So it is always better that you pass the machine name as well. So I'm just going to go to the program.cs, and here I'm going to pass, let's say I'm going to give a name like test client, and let's give a name for executed by as Karthik and requested by me, and the build number is 1.0, and app version is 1, and machine name is Windows 10. But you will see that it always prints my current machine name even if I pass this as a parameter. Again, please go back and change that particular method if you want. I'm just going to save it. So it's just going to create the test cycle ID. That's it. But we actually have to insert the result using another method, which is nothing but our client.writeTestResult method. So here I'm going to pass the values like new feature. Maybe let's call this as feature new, because we already have a new feature in there. New scenario, test step. There is no exception, and it is passed. Cool. So let's call this 3 times, and let's make one failure as well, or failed, right? All right, let's save this. And now if I just try to run this code, you will see there is kind of exception, and I will tell you why. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to execute this code, and as I already said, if I execute this particular project, you can see that we will get an exception, and the reason is because we have not defined the connection string for our reporting web service connectivity in our ExecuteAutomation reporting service. So let's quickly set this particular project as the start project or the startup project. I'm just going to save it, and now if I try to run this particular project, you can see that we will be coming right here, and I will step over. All right, and now if I step over once again, we will kind of not get any exception, and now you'll get an exception here. See, null reference exception. What is this actually? You can see that it is exactly showing us where the exception is happening. Setting start report connection string is null, and you know why? Because we have not given the connection string into our web service project right here, the web.config file. So we actually have to borrow some of the code right from here, this guy. Let's copy this, and we have to paste this particular configuration from errors to error service. So I'm just going to go to the web service, and I'm going to paste the code right here. So this is the connection string that we created in our previous project, right? Just going to save it, and let's fall back to our program.cs this time. And let's try to execute this code once again, and let's step over once again. There we go. We don't get any exception this time, right? It seems like it's working fine. And it has inserted all the result and it came out. Cool. So let's quickly test our ExecuteAutomation reporting system. So I'm going to set that as a startup project and execute in the Firefox browser. Oops, we got an error, and the reason is because we have to navigate directly to the model of the index page. So we'll call the index.axpx. There we go. All right, so we are on the home page right now. I can see that we have a 108. Can you see there is a test cycle ID with test client, Karthik, and requested by me 1.0 and 1. This is the same value that we inserted from our client. And if I click this 108, you can see that we will also get the result that we inserted using the write test result method. We have the feature name, new scenario, test up, all the past, and there is one more failed right here. So this is how you can consume your web service into your client, and then you can insert the result into your ExecuteAutomation reporting system. So this is the idea, guys. This is how you can insert the data right into your web service from your client. And this is exactly what we're going to do in our ExecuteAutomation framework as well. So we will talk about consuming the web service in our ExecuteAutomation framework and inserting the result into the ExecuteAutomation reporting system via the ExecuteAutomation web service. Thank you.